Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome back to the Made Hoops podcast. As always, I'm your host, Austin Smith, back with my partners in crime. As you can see on the screen, I'm joined with Rob Noonan and Eric Hampford. Rob Noonan is our event director at Made, and Eric Hampford is our director of scouting. Fellas, we've got a lot to talk about because we just had the crazy loaded East Coast MSA camp for the 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade classes, and it went down. If you all are on IG, you could not have missed all the content from the camp. It was crazy, but I'm here to let these two incredible gentlemen do most of the talking. So first off, for you, Eric, how are you feeling? It's good to see you again, brother. I make sure I do that first.
I'm feeling good, man. East Coast MSA is one of our crown jewel events. It's always one of my favorite events of the year just because of the amount of talent we get under one roof, and because we run camp at a certain level. It's a lot of fun for everybody, exhausting for not just the kids, but for us running it. But it always meets our expectations and then some. So I'm very happy with the product that we put on. I think Rob would probably agree as well.
Talk to me, Rob. How you feeling, man? You look like you played 7 games, bro.
Yeah, I played 4 series in 7 games. No, I mean, camp was great. We had 318 kids, a lot of positive feedback. We had great coaching, great guest speakers, great talent, and then our internal staff did a great job. Obviously, Eric isn't too tired because he just has to stand and scout. He's really not in the trenches. But no, it was great. You had Ashley Howard, who was the head coach at LaSalle, picking up basketballs after a drill and walking them to the back. You had him coaching. You had Corey Alexander live on ESPN for 5-10 minutes and then taking off his suit to his MSA shirt and walking back out to camp. You had Brian Weber, who was the former associate head coach at Stony Brook. So you had a lot of good veteran coaches who were down coaching, which obviously helps elevate the camp. And I mean, we have terrific coaches with energy, which is always like the focal point of camp. But to have those experienced veteran guys who have coached at the highest level is always great. And then hopefully, some of our younger guys who have a ton of energy getting to the highest level in the next few years. I mean, I love them at camp, but I don't want them at camp forever. I want them to go where they want to go and coach at the highest level.
Right. Yo, why are you so far from the screen though?
Me?
You are so far away right now.
So I don't have my glasses on or my contacts, so I have no depth perception of where I am, but I'm leaning back in my chair. That's all I know.
Oh my goodness.
Do I understand? Oh, am I closer now?
Yeah, now it looks normal. Yes.
We have to redo it, or can we keep it like
No, this is all part of it.
This is part of it, dog. Part of the
I'll move up more. I was pretty relaxed until you just absolutely disrupted.
Wait, you were way too relaxed, man. Coming off a successful camp, like we need you to check yourself a little bit.
All right, I'll sit up, but I'm so uncomfortable now. No, but the talent was great. And our guest speakers in Hunter Dickinson and Trevor Keels. So I mean, having those guys come in, and Trevor played in our league. Eric, did Hunter play in our league?
Yep, both of them did.
Okay, they were before my time, but I remember the picture of Trevor at 8th grade finale that we used once they went into the tournament when he was with Duke, and Hunter was obviously with Michigan. So having 2 high-level guys who really built their names from the ground up, I think Trevor was always a household name, respectively. Hunter put a ton of work in and really built his name through high school and then more so in college. So Trevor staying in the NBA draft, Hunter returning back for a year, if I'm not mistaken. So it was great to have those 2 perspectives.
Rob, you did a lot of name dropping just as far as the leadership was concerned, a lot of the camp coaches that were there in attendance, and you talked about some of the alumni that did come back. So that obviously makes an impact into having a successful camp. But one thing that Eric and I were talking about briefly off air too was you talked about, Eric, about how the Made Hoops camp is literally in a league of its own. Just the way the camp is run, just the appearance you even see, not even being there, of what it looks like a camp you got to go to. So give the audience real quick, Eric, your kind of primary reasons why you feel personally and why we know personally the Made Hoop Camp is one of the best of the best.
I think, well, one, the talent level is incredibly high. So obviously, like, if you're one of those guys, you want to be there to test yourself against other guys, right? I think another really cool thing about the way we do camp is it is a learning experience for everybody, right? And I would say this to a lot of parents who ask me about camp is, I don't care if you're the number one player in the country or if you're a kid who is just literally picking up a basketball 2 years ago and trying to see where that can take you. Camp can be incredibly beneficial to everybody, right? We tier it out where you're playing against guys that are on your same level, right? Sometimes we have like this perception that you have to be elite to be in Made Hoops platforms, whether it's tournaments, camps, what have you. But we do a great job making sure that it's an inclusive experience for everybody. And I think there's a lot of kids and parents over the years who have attended who, you know, would definitely echo that same sentiment of, hey, like, my son isn't the best player, but he got better, right? And I would say the same thing to the number one player in the country who came to our camp. I think they come there and they get better too. Our coaches are incredibly intense. A lot of them have done it at the highest levels, and they're going to hold you accountable, whether you're the best player in the gym or you're the worst player in the gym, right? Everybody has somewhere they're trying to get to, and our coaches, they don't see you as who you are. A lot of them don't even know who the best players in the country are, right? Like, they know their region, they know some of the better kids they've coached, but they're not gonna, you know, coddle the best kids. They're gonna treat number one like they treat number 350 on their jersey. That's how they see them, their jersey number. And when kids aren't running, when they're not running to a station from their last station, our coaches are getting them on the line and they're sprinting. It doesn't matter if they're the best player or the worst player. Like, they're treating everyone as equals. I think that's a really cool aspect of our camp. I think the off-court stuff that we do, we have, you know, parent workshops, player workshops where we're educating them on nutrition. We're educating them on mental health. We're educating them on, you know, guest speakers who've been through the process, you know, the Hunters, the Trevors, those guys. So I think you're just providing an overall experience where we're not just playing 5-on-5, right? 5-on-5 gameplay is actually a very little component to our camp. The rest of it is what I think makes us very different and very unique, is that we provide this overall experience that is way more than just basketball. And it's definitely way more than 5-on-5. It's a lot of skill and drill components and just getting better as, you know, players and mentally sharper.
That was the longest explanation.
It was great. That was commercial like. It was.
I'm not lying though.
No,
that's all real. Like, that's all real.
No, but just like a shorter version.
Hey, Aaron, I'm not going
to. Rob's attention span is so bad that he can't deal with that.
Lost me early.
All right, so let's dive into the camp in more detail. Clearly, you had a lot of great players, great coaches, great competition, and the camp, man, it literally spoke for itself just in terms of how high level it was. So let's dive into some of the prospects and some of the notes that you all both took. Rob, we can start with you first, man. What players caught your attention? Obviously, 8th grade, 7th grade, and 6th grade, but who caught your eye early just by the way they performed at the MSA East Coast Camp?
So, in particular, me and Eric spoke about him. TJ Allen from the Boston area. He had a tremendous camp. He played 7th and then he played some 8th grade, and he did very, very well in both. Caleb Gaskins from Florida, around the Orlando area, 6'7" wing, who we just saw for the first time in Dallas, then came down to camp and played well. Julius Event from Jersey, and I know Eric is going to start laughing at one point because he knows who all my standouts are and he knows exactly what I'm going to say. But Julius's dad, you know, Julius is 6'6" now. His dad is 6'9", played in the league, so a ton of growth there. Troy Tomlin was one of my unexpected standouts who I didn't really get to watch the takeover 7th grade group, but I saw him. I was like, oh, damn. Chase Foster had a great camp, and Willie Darden, who's one of the top 2028s, I would say, that I've seen as far as prospect and productivity from being 6'3" in sixth grade. And then the name trending was Jordan Smith Jr. throughout the gym. So very explosive. He's, a go-getter in every aspect of the game. He's tough, physical, can shoot a little bit, can dunk off too. So he's in my opinion, the next takeover guy that you are going to see go up through the ranks, be good at every level, and continue to get better. But the one thing that I will say is I have a lot of respect for the Adam, Josiah Kennedys, Chase Foster, Devin Totley, Jordan Smith, who else am I missing? Silas Devonish. They were going back and forth from their summer league games.
Oh, wow.
Tyson Harley, too, was another one. They were going back from their summer league games to come back to camp. And it's not like camp was a short day. Camp is a 12-hour day. So you're doing strength and conditioning for an hour, then playing a game, then going to your summer league game, coming back, doing stations, doing a game. So I don't know how they did it, but
they compete. They want to compete. It would be very easy for them to just go play that with their high school teams and call it a day. These kids want to compete. They want to be in the gym. They want to go against the best. That's why those kids are in the position that they're in. And it's pretty cool to see them want to go back and forth and literally live this.
Eric,
I also noticed Rob completely finessed and pivoted off of Adam Umidush's last name because he didn't know how to pronounce it, but we're there.
There was one kid, his first name was Luca, and he made the All-Star game. And I was like, Luca, and then I didn't know how to say his last name. And I said it really, really fast because I had no idea what I said just to get it over with. And there were two other names that I absolutely butchered. But I apologize to those kids in advance.
Nobody's accused you of knowing how to read. That's one thing no one's ever accused you of.
That is true.
Eric, how about you, man? Talk to me. I know Rob mentioned that some of the names on his list, you vetoed for those guys too, and you voted for those guys too, and you said they were standouts. But who else caught your attention?
Yeah, obviously I agree with all the names he said. Jordan Smith Jr. was, I think, the one guy that everybody in the gym was raving about. I haven't seen a player in the 2026 class who wants the smoke at all times, every single game. Like, absolutely fearless kid, a DC player in and out, team takeover. Like, he fits perfectly into what they do as a program. Like, he's just so talented, continues to get better. You had the Darian Payday Moores, another guy who's super competitive, has, lived on our platform the past 2 years, continues to get better. Aiden Durkak was very impressive this weekend. Logan Franz, 6'10", post player who has obviously put in a ton of work and gotten a lot better. Navon Shabazz, a player from South Florida, plays with Knight Riders. He came up and did his thing. The list really goes on and on. Eric Hillsman, Western New York kid, 6'5" wing, getting better overall. Trying to look at some other guys, top 40 guys that we had. Donovan Williams Jr. came from Florida, made the trip, played really well. Dominic Sprague probably shot the ball as good as anyone in camp. Donovan Carney, Pittsburgh point guard, has a bright future. I could go on about these guys, right? So then obviously you look at the seventh grade game as well. And Rob touched on Troy Tomlin. Troy had an incredible week, another team takeover kid. Baba Oladatun, who, I don't know if there's 5 more skilled seventh graders in the entire country, plays for Team Durant, goes about 6'4", just starting to scratch the surface of what he really could be. Rashad Robinson from New Jersey was very impressive, plays with Tim Thomas Players, has gotten a lot better over the past several months. TJ Allen, I mean, we talked about it on the pod last week. TJ was playing 15U with BABC at Louisville, right? Like this kid was, and he was actually playing. He wasn't sitting on the bench. He was getting real minutes with their E15s and doing his thing. So it's not really a surprise that he comes into the mix and kills it at camp when he's playing with kids his own age. Tyler Sutton, point guard from Pennsylvania, from Philly, very, very talented kid. Daniel Abass, Team Durant, 6'5". He has the, potential to be one of the best bigs in this class, regardless of location. So he's another guy that played well. I mean, like I said, the amount of talent, you always feel bad because you feel like you're going to leave certain guys out. And obviously me and Rob left out probably 100, but that's just speaking to the overall depth of the camp. And I think a lot of these guys got better for being in the gym all under one roof and competing against one another.
You talked about getting better too. E. Let me ask you this, because this is a legitimate question. How much of an impact will this camp have on the play and intensity heading up into spring championships for June? So, I mean, like, we got a big weekend coming up. Okay. And it's like,
and some of these guys do play in the spring championships. I think
right.
I think one of the good things about our camp in general is it can be a humbling experience for some of these guys, right? Like some of these guys are used to getting it how they want to get it with their team. They're not really getting pressed. And some of them, even the ones who were top 40, top 20, and I don't put huge stock into making the All-Star games. Like, I think some of those guys, though, were, taken advantage of by other guys who they're not used to kind of being uncomfortable with. And I think whether they admit it or not, they left the gym in certain situations thinking, man, I got to get better. I got to figure out how to use my left hand better. I got to figure out how to finish better. So I think it gives all of our guys a mindset for the rest of the summer, whether it's our spring championships this week, whether it's 8th grade finale in July. Man, I got to continue to get better. So I think it ratchets up their overall competitiveness and makes them a little bit uncomfortable. And that's ultimately what we're trying to make happen with all these kids.
Wow. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Now, here's a cool thing about it. We do East Coast, then we got West Coast coming up next. Is there, I got to ask, is there a play style difference that either of you have seen over the years to having the different camps on the different sides of the country? Is there a different play style? Is different intensity level? Is a different type of game from prospects? What does that look like?
So this is our debut West Coast camp, but we have been running the circuits out there.
Right.
And we see these kids regardless throughout the year at 8th grade finale, whatever, other events. There's definitely a different playing style. They have, as in they, I mean West Coast, because I'm from the East Coast. They have more of a finesse, put on a show mindset, right? Like everything's very like Hollywood, West Coast, cool, calm, collected, fashion. It's a different environment in the gym overall whenever you're out there. So yeah, I would say West Coast is different in that regard. Doesn't mean that they don't hoop, because there's a ton of guys out there who are killers too, but it's different. It's different on the East Coast, man. You got a lot of like the gritty Northeast, hard scrabble, New York, Philly, DC like mindset. And it's different than LA. It's just a whole different, and you feel it too. Rob knows.
Yeah. Talk to me, Rob. Talk to me, Rob.
Eric pretty much covered everything. I mean, when you look at, I don't know the exact number, but I mean, both coasts produce a ton of pros. The biggest difference is there's so much more basketball on the East Coast because all the cities are like this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Everything's an hour and a half away, hour and a half from Philly, hour from New York, 3 hours from DC, 3 hours from Boston. I almost just cursed, but I didn't. So I'm very proud of myself right there. But like when you're on the West Coast, it's like 5 hours from LA to San Diego, 17 hours to Sacramento, like 3 days to Portland. So, I mean, that stuff like always impacts because everyone's just not close together.
Did you just say LA and San Diego were 5 hours apart?
With that traffic, you're lucky it's not like 8.
Geography is something.
How far?
So Eric, we got reading and we got geography, 2 classes.
Listen, there are certain things Rob is really good at, and we put him in positions to succeed with Made based on those things. So we'll leave geography out of it. But he's not wrong in terms of it's very different on the East Coast. As far as accessibility, I think overall it's accessibility to basketball in big events.
Answer my question.
What's your question?
How far is LA from San Diego?
2 hours.
Really?
Yes, Rob. I mean, with traffic, let's be honest, it's definitely a little bit more than that, depending. But yeah, it's okay though. We're not worried about geography. That's not what you're here for.
Whatever.
Rob, you do a fantastic job, brother. You do a great job at keeping us in the loop and keeping us at the top of the food chain. Fellas, that was great content, man. And I appreciate you guys giving insight into the camps, because we know there are a bunch of camps out here. Like, there are a bunch of camps that have the middle school showcases, and you got the all-star and stuff to get YouTube and all this other stuff. But I appreciate the standard of excellence that you all do a fantastic job. Specifically, I'm talking about Eric, you and Rob just do a fantastic job of keeping that at a high level. And that's something that Chad talked to us about several podcasts ago, about having that standard each and every time these kids are in the showcase or an event. And I feel proud to say, hey, if I had a son, or a daughter, I want them to be in the MSA Hoops Camp. Like that's where we're going, because it makes sense.
Choice.
It makes sense.
I would make your son or daughter come and make Hoops. You don't have a choice. You specifically.
We're here.
The standard of excellence is something we don't take lightly. And again, that's not to say we're the only good camp out there, right? Like, that's not what this is, just like a pub for made hoops and made hoops only. But we are reminded, and I think we do a good job of holding each other accountable to, hey, this is how we do it. And once you run things a certain way, and we run a camp that is so good, competition wise, coaching wise, you have to level up, or at least have it on that same level from the year before, because you're looking back at it and you're like, oh, wow, we had this amount of talent. We got to make sure that we have at least that amount of talent. Or, hey, these 5 coaches were there who are like the best of the best. Well, we got to make sure we have that. And then, so, like, it's every aspect of it, man. Like, it's a challenge to do, but it's part of the job, man. We look at ourselves as guardians of the game and trying to push the game forward. And the only way to do that is to do things at the highest level, to revolutionize how people do things, to try and implement new ideas, different things like that. So it's part of the grind, man. It's just how we do it.
Well, I'm glad that East Coast MSA 2022 was a success. I love it when the guys get the chance to kind of compete at some of these showcases during the summertime, because again, it adds a different element outside of the traditional travel ball season you get from March until June and July. So having a couple of days to learn, to grow, to get better, to work on their games is huge. And the setup is important too, because, when you're playing through March and July, time and time, you just playing. You're playing. Rarely, some teams, don't get a lot of practice time, as we've heard from coaches here before. So now you all put these players in a setting where they get to, 1, compete, 2, they get to learn and grow. They get the people like Corey Alexander's. They get the college coaches, former college coaches that come in and pour into them, and ultimately makes for a better product as they continue to compete for the remainder of the season. So, man, kudos to you, Eric. Kudos to you, Rob, and the rest of our team here at Made for making the MSA camp on the East Coast a success. And we know, with that being said, the West Coast camp is coming up soon. What can we expect? Are we talking the same vibe? Are we looking at something possibly even better? We get the inside scoop from y'all first.
For West Coast, since it's year 1, is it going to have the talent that East Coast has? No, but it's going to be impressive. Like, you're going to have a lot of our guys who are studs out there in the 2026, 2027, and a few of the 2028s who are in the gym. I think it's going to be a great building block camp to really get us a territory out there to say, hey, like, this is how we do it. And I think once we do year one of it, a lot of parents are going to say, wow, we haven't seen a camp like this, right? Like we're definitely coming back next year. We're definitely going to tell other people about the camp. But yeah, like we're going to have some hitters out there, man. They're going to be, and it's a bunch of familiar names that have played in the West Coast circuit and guys who we've been talking about for a few years now. So talent wise, we'll be good. It's not going to be as many kids as East Coast, but again, East Coast has been up and running for 4 or 5 years now. I think it's going to be a great intro camp for us, and I'm really excited about it. Rob,
talk to us.
Top 20, like the higher end elite kids should be on par with the East Coast. It's just probably the depth, I would say. There's going to be a ton of talent, but there's not going to be as much depth. And that's because there's not even going to be half as many kids per session that you would have on the East Coast. You're looking at like 100 less kids, 120.
Well, still, nevertheless, I mean, you still talk about obviously the great job that you all do in getting these camps together, and the fact that again you're having a high level camp with the same standards, like E mentioned. You're gonna have a good showcase on the West Coast in year one, and that's what we're looking forward to and expecting to. So
for us, we want to run it right. We want to do it the right way. That's priority number one for us. Is whenever it's the first time we're doing something, we want to make sure that we have all the T's crossed, all the I's dotted, make sure we do things to the standard that we do them. And then we build on it year 2, year 3, and you know, continue to kind of revolutionize the way we do stuff. But that's what's most important for us. But don't get it twisted. There will be a show in Vegas this weekend. There will be a lot of guys that will be all over social. It'll be fun. And a lot of kids are going to get better.
And Rob's not going to get any sleep.
And Rob's going to get 0 sleep.
No, actually, no, I'll get good because we have championship weekend in Memphis. Games start a little bit later, but I'll probably have to wake up early to make. No, I won't. I'm getting I'm getting some sleep. Let's go.
Bro, Rob's going to be in Memphis at the spring championships. Now, what he's forgetting is at this point, he may have a little bit earlier of a day if games are over at, let's say, 8:00 in Memphis. Cool. When it's over, he's forgetting that he's going to then get all the calls and text messages from Vegas that are going on in real time, 2 hours behind, or I believe it's time zone 2 hours behind at that point.
Oh, 3.
No, Memphis is 1 hour. I think Memphis is
Central.
Yeah, it's Central.
Yeah, but is it Vegas 4 hours behind with the time zone changed? So it's 3 hours behind.
Huh?
Are you trying to say, oh, don't even do this, Rob.
Is it 3 or 4 hours difference from here to the West Coast?
West Coast is 3 hours behind us.
Dude.
Sometimes just don't say it, period. Just if you're thinking it, just don't say it. The bottom line is Rob will be getting a bunch of calls and text and questions. 2 hours.
Only to 11 though. That's not bad.
No, you might still get a few hours of sleep. We'll see.
Worse.
Fellas, y'all are the best, man. Appreciate y'all. Everyone, hey, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Made Hoops Podcast. Again, I'm our host, Austin Smith. We got our guys on the board with us today. We got Rob Noonan, Eric Hampford, 2 incredible guys who help run the Made Hoops platform. Thanks for tapping in with us for episode number 12. This is episode number 12 now, man. And then this was the East Coast MSA Academy Camp. So again, we got West Coast coming up. We got June Spring Championships coming up. We got 8th grade finale coming up. Yep. A bunch of stuff that you all need to stay tapped into. So make sure you follow us on social media. Made Hoops on Twitter, Made Hoops on Instagram. A bunch of great content coming you all's way. And keep on rocking with us on each episode of the podcast. We enjoy hanging out with you guys on a week-to-week basis. So thanks for tuning in. This is Austin Smith signing out. I'm tired like Rob is, as y'all can tell. We'll see you all on the next episode of the Made Hoops Podcast.